The first time I collapsed in public was on a Tuesday during the year 2002. It was at my high school, surrounded by many friends. All I remember was the world starting to spin. Then all of a sudden, everything was black. After what seemed like forever, I woke up to a sobbing mother on my left and a confused nurse on my right. Nobody understood why I had collapsed. It was just hours later that we all got an answer. A stain on my underwear showed that I had entered puberty. Was that the beginning of a life of collapsing? I wasn't sure. I do say that this was the first time I collapsed, but I was lucky. I collapsed around people who knew me, but it was not the first time I collapsed in public. The second time I collapsed was at a market. This time, I wasn't so lucky. Nobody knew me. What I awoke to was terrifying. Many people were screaming around me. Half my clothes were undone. I couldn't hear what everybody was saying, but everybody was touching me. This, again, was not the last time that I collapsed. From then on, I have collapsed in public restrooms, in church, while driving, while with friends, and while with strangers. This was my body telling me that infertility was knocking at my door. But it wasn't just about collapsing. There was so much more to come. The first time I woke up in a pool of my own blood was in 2014. This was after my first hysteroscopy. Would it be my last? Again, no. My body will always continue to betray me. It would be a life of firsts, but there were so many seconds and thirds. I awoke with no one beside me and no one to help me. And again, I collapsed before I could reach for the phone. I lay in a pool of my own blood for 4 hours before the door was broken to save me. Again, this was my body telling me that infertility will forever be a part of my life. The first time I had surgery and a body part was removed from my body without my consent was in 2015. I was too young to know what was done to me. I believed in the doctors. I believed that this would be the last of all the firsts, but it wasn't. I lost an ovary in a surgery in 2015. Again, this was and would continue to be a life filled with so many firsts. The first time I was told that I could never conceive on my own, I was by myself, staring at a doctor who couldn't care less. He said the words without any feeling and any emotion. My mother had died. Who would I cry to? Who would I share this first news that would forever devastate my life? Again, my body was continuing to betray me. Another first. The first in vitro fertilization that I went through was done without any anesthesia. What a first. Of the many firsts, I think that's the most unforgettable. I remember for the first time in my adulthood, crying like a little baby. I remember wanting to quit halfway. I remember asking the Lord if this was the first time He had heard me cry. I doubted if He could hear me. I did give up midway. I couldn't go through with it. It was just too much. It was just too bad. And that, for me, was another first. The first time the pregnancy test came positive was in 2016. This was after 7 IVFs, 3 hysteroscopies, 1 surgery, 1 laparoscopy, and so many drug trials. This was the first time a first had ever made me happy. This was the first time a first had ever brought me joy. I am the founder of the Joy Foundation Tanzania, an initiative that is hoping to be the first to help women with infertility. It is my hope no one will ever go through the firsts I went through.